So today, thousands of teenagers across the country are opening up their results envelope and looking at the grades that they've earned in their A levels. And it's two kinds of a morning, isn't it? On the one hand, maybe the grade is what your teen wanted in A level biology, chemistry, maths, and they're off to the university of choice. They're studying at the program that they wanted to study at. And it's a day of celebration and relaxation because they're thinking, yes, I put in the time, effort, and attention, and I got the grade that I wanted. On the other hand, maybe your teen didn't get the grades that they wanted in A-level biology, chemistry, or maths, and now their place at university of choice is in question. Maybe they're going into clearing, maybe they're thinking about taking a gap year, doing a reset, maybe they're changing their career options, their university choices, doing a foundation year. And it's a different conversation that you're having with your teen. Now, this is the issue. The issue is this, is that parents think that the grade is the outcome. They think, well, my teenager, they studied for 2 years, and this is the grade they got in A-level biology, chemistry, maths. And you're right in thinking that it is the outcome at the end of 2 years. It is the final summative grade, isn't it? But what they don't do is that they don't ask themselves, why? Why did my teen get this grade? Does the grade reflect what they know, or does it not reflect what they know? And parents, sometimes you even categorize grades, don't you? You put a value on it, as in an A star. Oh, well, that's just brilliant, isn't it? Very well done. Got the A star. Got the B. Yeah, it's okay. I mean, you could have done a bit better. What? You got a C? Well, C's not good enough, is it? I mean, that's not really going to get you into the university of choice, is it? That C in A-level biology and chemistry, maths. And maybe even you begin to wonder, does my teen even know A-level biology, chemistry, or maths at a level which is sufficient enough for them to move to the next stage of their academic career? But what you need to understand about grades is this, is yes, it is a grade, it's a letter grade, it's a percentage. But what's more important is not what, as in what grade your teen got, but rather a why. Why did they get the grade that they got? Because if we can figure out why they got the grade that they got, then we can take action on it. Okay, we can improve the situation. So, for example, let me explain it this way. You've got two teenagers. They open up the results envelope on the day. They take out the piece of paper in A-level chemistry. They've got a B. You know, if you look at the grade, they both got a B, but you don't understand why they got the B. One student may not have had sufficient understanding of the concept. Say, for example, organic chemistry. Maybe there was this gap in their knowledge of organic chemistry, and when they came in to take the exam, this is the reason why they got the B. There was a knowledge gap. Or on the other hand, the other student could have done this one. They could have known all the knowledge, all the content, had excellent exam technique, revised properly, done all the past paper questions, but they ran out of time on the exam. They knew it, couldn't get down on the paper fast enough in the time that the examiner needed. So if you look at it on the surface level, they both got a B. One student got a B because there was a knowledge gap. The other student got a B because there was a timing issue. So it's the same grade, but just different underlying problems that cause them to get that grade. Now, you may think, well, yes, Graeme, but my teen has taken the final exam in A-level biology, chemistry, maths. True. And they got the grade that they wanted. They got an A star, A or a B. And so this is good enough for them to get into their university of choice, into their program of choice. They are good to go. Right. Or maybe your teen is in year 13. They just finished year 13 and they're looking at the grade and it's a C, a D, an E, or a U. And they're thinking, yes, I need to take a gap year and I need to have a reset because I know that I can do better on this exam than what the grade is indicating. Or maybe your teen is in year 12. They're going into year 12. And parents, you're thinking, what I really need to do is make sure that this doesn't happen to my teen at the end of year 13. Okay. So what's important then is now we've categorized the different types of students. What's important to this bit is that we separate the student from the result. Because parents, and you do this as well, right? You attach the identity of your teen to the grade that they got on the exam. It's common. It's natural. Well, my son, my daughter, very, very smart. Obviously, science-minded. They got the A star. What else could you want? Or on the other hand, you think, oh, my son, my daughter, well, they tried, but maybe A-level chemistry or biology or maths, maybe it's not for them. Maybe they should choose a different subject to study at university. But what's important is that you separate the student from the result. The identity of your teen, your son, your daughter, is completely separate from the grade that they got on A-level biology, chemistry, or maths. It is. Okay? And so what you need to do is think, yes, they're still my son, my daughter, but they didn't do too well on this exam in biology, chemistry, maths. All right, let's have a little look then. Let's do a deep dive and figure out why. So if they did well, they got the A star or the A or the B, fantastic. If they didn't get the grade that they wanted, what we need to do now is have a think. Why not? Okay, and this is how I separate it. It's identity versus behavior. The person's identity is not linked into their behavior, is it? Now, the reason why I mention this is because if you're a parent of year 12 teen, your teen is going into year 12 in September. You do realize that 38% of students, according to Ofqual, last year got the A or the A star in A-level biology, A-level chemistry, right? About a third. And about 62% got a B, C, D, E, or a U. About 2/3. So what you want to do then is this, parents. What you want to do is if you're a parent of a teen going into year 12 in September, or if your teen has taken their exam and they're doing a reset, or maybe they're going into year 13, you want to make sure that they're in the 32%. You want to be in that top third. You want to do everything you can to help your teen be in that top third of the population taking A-level biology, chemistry, maths. And so you want to plan ahead. You want to get the correct behaviors installed, the correct habits installed, so that they are. And let's start early on it. So it doesn't matter doing a reset, year 13, year 12. Let's make sure that we get them on the right path starting in September. Now, the question is, how do we do it? Well, simple. You figure out where they lost the marks. So if they're doing a reset, or if they're doing a year 13, if they're going into year 13, let's figure out where they lost the marks. And parents, if you're in year 12, if your teen's in year 12, you can also do this as well. They can actually start preparing for A-level biology, chemistry, or maths before September rolls around. But what's important is this, is that when they start taking tests at sixth form college, when they start going through the past paper questions, they have a habit, they form a positive habit, which is, let's figure out where the marks go. When I take a test or an exam, where am I losing marks? Is it content? Do I not know it? Do I not have a study system in place? Am I not organized? Do I not have a study system in place? Do I not have a revision strategy in place that allows me to learn the information, study, and get the information into my short-term and long-term memory, revision, and then put it out on the paper in the way that the examiner wants? So it could be a content gap. It could be an application gap. It could be exam technique. It could be working under pressure. But you need to think about it now. And once you've identified what the problem is, like once you've identified the elephant in the room, well, then you can easily come up with a plan, a strategy to come around it. But keep in mind, parents, that the grade that your teen gets on the tests and the exams in year 12 or year 13 had nothing at all to do with their identity. It has to do with their habits. And what I say is this: the grade that your teen gets on the test at school in A-level biology, chemistry, maths is a reflection of the habits that they have in place in terms of organization, studying, revising from the last test. And tests are cumulative, which means that they can improve their habits and they can see the results of the habits. They can see their grade improving. Now, let me tell you a story then. We had a student called Amina. Okay. Now, Amina, when she came to us, she had a D in A-level chemistry. She was going into year 13. She had been predicted an A star. She was aiming for one of the top 5 dental schools in the UK. Bright young woman. And yet, in year 13, beginning of year 13, September, something went wrong. And all of a sudden, she was producing D's on tests at school. D's. Now, parents, there's a huge gap between a D and an A star. It's at the opposite end of the grade scale, isn't it? So, what do we do? Well, I had a conversation with her, and I got her to understand that the grade, letter grade and percentage grade on the test was just information. It's just data. There's nothing else to it. You strip the emotion out of it, and that's it. That's what it is. It isn't a verdict. It isn't an indication of you as an individual, as a learner. Has no value to it as compared to who you are. It's just a letter grade on a piece of paper. So once she understood that, because obviously You know how teens are. When they see the letter grade, it's all that they can focus on. They have tunnel vision. All they can focus on is this letter grade, which is a D. And so the very first thing I had to say was, it's just a D. Amina, it's just a D. Just a letter grade. Where you are right now along the pathway to the A star. You're right there at a D. This is an indication of what you know, your study habits, your organization habits, and your revision strategy right now is a D. Can we change it? Yes. Why? Because behaviors can be modified. So can beliefs. And so what we did is we put a new system in place. We put in place what we call the A-level system, because teens, they do tend to bring with them baggage from GCSE, which is the GCSE study habits. They have a way of studying at GCSE that got them an 8 or a 9 in GCSE maths and science, and they think this is going to work with them at A level. No, it's not. So we put in a new system for Amina, how to keep it organized, how to study in the way that she learned, how to revise in the way that she learns. And then we installed a belief system where she didn't think that she was a bad person or a bad learner or a bad student because of a letter grade on a test. She understood, no, this is just evidence of what I need to work on, what I need to change. And it has nothing at all to do with my ability. Nothing at all. Well, as you probably guessed, parents, Amina walked out of year 13 A-level chemistry with an A star. So she moved from a D to an A star, and she did enroll in one of the top 5 dental schools in the UK, and she is studying to be a dentist. All right. Now, the reason why I tell you this story, parents, is this. It's because now you understand that your teen can turn it around. The grade they get at the end of year 13 on the final exam grade, if it's not what they want, it's not the end of the day, it's not the end of the world, it's like over. Your team can do a reset. They're going into year 13, they don't have the grades they want. They can always change it. And going into year 12, they can be prepared. And so they're part of the 32% and not part of the 38% and not part of the 62% who gets a B, C, D, or an E. They are the 32% who get the A or the A star. Now, the 5 questions that you need to ask your teen when you're looking at the papers with them. You're having a conversation with your teen. Yes, I know, parents, conversation with teen. You're okay. All right. And you're asking them questions. It's this. Don't be adversarial about it, but just ask them a question. Can we go over your paper in A-level chemistry? Can we do that? Can we see where you're going right, where you're going wrong, how I can possibly help? So the very first question is, where are they losing marks? Now, in A-level chemistry, for example, there's certain question types. So are they losing marks on multiple choice, definitions, concept, the 4-marker maths question, the 5-marker mechanism question, the 6-marker essay question? And in biology, it's similar, but it goes up to about 20, 25 marks. Which question type is tripping them up? Because as soon as you identify which question type is tripping them up, then you can put a plan in place to help them overcome that. Because as soon as you see what the weakness is, you know what to work on. Gaps. Are there any gaps in the knowledge? Is organic chemistry in year 12, is this really causing them an issue? Is it the physical chemistry in year 13 that a little bit weak on? All right. What about inorganic? Same thing for biology and maths, right? What is the area that your teen is weak on? Because All teens have a weakness when it comes to chemistry, biology, maths. There's always one topic to go, oh, seriously, this is one thing I don't get. And that's okay, because again, you've identified what the weakness is. You can go in and you can put a plan in place with your teen to strengthen up that weakness. How are they doing on unseen questions? Like the questions that they take out the past paper exam and they look at the question and they've never seen it before. So they can't say, oh, I know how to do this one because I've done one similar to this. Rather, they're looking at this question going, well, I don't know. I have no idea. What am I supposed to do? Right? And so the reason why I ask this one, parents, is because the way that the exam boards, AQA, OCR, Edexcel, Cambridge International, the way that they write the papers is that they purposely put questions down there on the paper that your teen has never seen before. They're not anything similar to what they've seen in past paper questions, so they can't memorize the answers to it. So how are they doing on unseen questions? We call these application questions. How is their revision working? Do they have a study schedule? Do they have a revision plan that they're working on every week? Are they studying in a way that works for them? Now, notice what I said, right? Because everybody learns differently. Are they studying in a way that works for them? The way that they learn, the way that they think? Are they revising in a way that works for them? You've heard the terms active revision versus passive revision. How is that going? Just have a frank, open conversation with your teen about that. And what evidence do they have that they understand the topic? Because teens, sometimes what they do is that, well, their filing cabinet is maybe a 3-ring binder or just the back of the textbook, and they file everything in. And are they really tracking the evidence, the grades on the homework, the labs, the tests? Are they slowing down? Are they going through the test and asking the 5 questions? All right. Now, I think the most important question that you can ask, besides the big 5, is this one. Especially if your teen is beginning the year. September is beginning of year 12, or September is beginning of year 13. Or maybe they're doing a reset. The most important question that you can ask your teen is this. What was it that created the grade? Now, notice I didn't say what was the reason. Because if you say, well, what was the reason, son, daughter, that you got a C or a D on this test? Well, of course, they're going to come back with some kind of a defense because you're attacking their belief system. But if you say, what do you think was behind you getting a C or a D? What was the reason for that? And all of a sudden, they'll start having a conversation with you about their behaviors. So you don't ask why. Why did you get this grade? That's a belief stem. You ask, what was the reason? This is behavior. And behavior, nobody worries about talking about behavior, do they? Because it's not attached directly to their identity. But ask them, what was the reason why you got the grade? Now, the reason I ask this is this, because parents, it's critically important that your teen is in the top 38%. They need to be really going towards the A and the A star, don't they? And that it starts on day 1 in year 12, doesn't it? So parents who think that year 12 is the real starting point for A-level biology, chemistry, maths, and they're actively working with their teen, understanding why they get the grade that they get, and helping the teen fill in the knowledge gaps or the study gaps, revision strategies from the beginning of year 12, or even from the beginning of year 13, a little bit more tighter, but you can still do it. These are the teams that do better because it's a 2-year course and you need a solid foundation in year 12 in order to be successful in year 13. And so this is something, parents, that you should know by Christmas time. By Christmas of 2026, you really should know why your teen is getting the grade that they're getting in A-level biology, chemistry, maths. Because as we say, it's this: change the learner, you change the grade. Now, parents, if your teen is doing a reset, they didn't get the grade they wanted on results day, or if they're going into year 13 in September, or if they're starting year 12 in September, it's important that you have a plan in place for your teen to be academically successful. Because if you do have a plan in place and you follow the plan, well, your teen is more than likely going to be one of the top 38% in biology, chemistry, maths who get the A or the A star. If you don't, they're going to be one of the 62% who get the B, C, D, or E, or a U. And they're not going to be competitive candidates for the university of choice or the program that they want to get into. So if what I was talking about makes sense to you and you want to have a conversation with us, really easy to do. There's a link in the description on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram. There's a link in the bio. Click on it, fill out the short form, and a member of my team will give you a call. And you can have a non-committal, non-sales call, a quick 15-minute conversation. And what we'll do is this, is you can tell us where your teen is academically. Well, they're beginning year 12, they're in year 13, this is the grade they got, they're doing a reset. What grade they want to get, their aspirational grade, what university they want to go to, what they want to study at university. And you can ask all the questions that you want about the courses that we offer at Empowered STEM. And we'll ask some questions about your teen and make sure that they're a good fit. All right, our course works for you. Your teen will get benefit from the course. And if this is the case, then you'll have all the information that you need in order to make an informed decision and take it to the next level. Everybody take care, and I'll see you in the next one.